Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual principalities and forces of darkness in the heavenly realms. It's Ephesians 6:12. It's one of my oft-used verses. And it's so easy to hold resentment or grudges against people in the world, especially people outside of the church, non-believers, because sometimes we're still holding on to elements of the world and we see them indulging in those things, and maybe we wish we could, or maybe we just don't like that they are, and because there's a lot of spiritual pride and judgment that builds up, and that's one thing to push people away. But it's also, the social media can be a great tool for sharing stuff like this, but we die by comparison. And so we're always measuring ourselves to an impossible standard and to an unrealistic standard, because people only present certain versions of themselves on social media. Very rare are people real and authentic and vulnerable in ways that can help people and build people, rather than tear people down internally by comparison in ways most people won't admit. Peter asked Jesus, "What about him, Lord?" Talking about the Apostle John and how they would have to die. And Jesus replied, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? As for you, follow me." And this is something I have to remind myself, because I can get so serious sometimes and just take things so seriously, because, I see the world for the matrix that it is, for the underpinnings, knowing that Satan is in control in this world and God has ultimate authority and reign. But the machinations that control this world are that many people don't see. There's just things that once you see, you can't unsee, and it takes away some of the innocence. And I believe that God gives us all insight to use for the journey that he has for us, because he has a purpose for all of us. But when we start comparing ourselves to other people who haven't been through certain things, some of the same things, realizing that God's using them somewhere else, maybe not in the same way, it can become difficult sometimes to keep to stay calm about it. I know for me. And so it's I have to remind myself, our battle is not against flesh and blood, especially not against other flesh and blood believers. We cannot look at somebody and get angry at them. There's spiritual principalities behind this. And Jesus warned us about all this. So again, it's why we got to be in the Word, to be aware. And it'd be great if we could blow up social media, the good purposes that it can be used for as well, and just force people to start being, interpersonal with people in real life again. But, moral of the story, it just, our battle's not against flesh and blood, but it's the spiritual principality. So stay focused on the Word, and don't beat yourself up if you feel like you're not living up because you see somebody else doing something you can't, or reacting in a way. You were created with a purpose in mind, your idiosyncrasies and tendencies and personality and all. So let God use it, and he can only do that when you're focused on him and submitted to him. So God bless you. See you tomorrow.